talking about stewardship in our congregation and asking people to make a commitment for giving for next year. And they wanted me to preach about that. And I'm so shy about asking for money, so it's really been tough to get this worked out. But anyway, let me ask, how many of you enjoy shopping? Couponing. Amazon. Have you ever driven out of your way so you could save 10 cents on an item? Okay. So we have this kind of a pastime in America of the culture of shopping and trying to save money. I've got this idea for the church, for us to promote it. It's Kings Highway Christian Church, home of the 9% tithe. What do you think? And he says somebody's going to undercut us. You can get 8% at St. Mark's. Yeah. So, we are interested in shopping, but then the church just says, hey, we need funds. What's that all about? There's a wonderful Episcopal preacher named Barbara Brown Taylor, and you have heard part of her sermons from me and a lot of other people through the years, because she is amazing. She has said, what would the stewardship season in church be without the story of the widow's mite? It would be like Christmas without a tree and presents. It would be like Thanksgiving without a turkey. It would be like Mardi Gras without beads. We just love it. So let's look at that scripture. Jesus is with his disciples. He's in Jerusalem. He's in the temple. A lot of people are coming or going. And he's taught, beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes and be greeted with respect in the marketplaces, and to have the best seats at the synagogues and places of honor at banquets. And they devour widows' houses, and for the sake of appearance they say long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation. So he sat down opposite the treasury and watched the crowd put money in the treasury, and many rich people were putting in large sums, and a poor widow came and put in 2 tiny copper coins, which are worth a penny. And he called his disciples and said to them, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributed to the treasury, for all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty has put in everything she had, all she had to live on. So, example of giving to the church. Go forth and do likewise. We have solved all our stewardship issues. She was just there worshiping and doing something that meant obviously a lot to her, put in her last little bit that she had. As opposed to those in the long robes who were waving around their check, so people could see all the zeros before they dropped it in. As opposed, did you ever take a bill and kind of fold it up so when you put it in the plate, nobody knew exactly what denomination it was? Here she is, a minor character, kind of an invisible person, and although the other folks in the flowering long robes get the attention, she's kind of a nobody. The people with Jesus would have noticed the big givers and the flamboyant people. They were kind of part of the temple culture. They were the scribes and the doctors of law. They had status. They were kind of like celebrities. Maybe you would invite them to your home and put on, fried chicken or whatever, and that was an honor to be able to give them something. They had a stipend, and it was life was good. They were prominent, but here's this woman who was a widow, and in that culture, she was kind of lost, not having a man in her life. Unfortunately, that's the way it was then. Somebody that nobody else noticed. Maybe it was the way that she came to the treasury box. She had these two little coins, and she may have been holding them like they were tiny little precious eggs. And there was maybe some reverence in how she put those coins in the box that Jesus wanted his disciples to notice. Her sacrifice was complete. She didn't have anything left. But Jesus called the disciples over and said, "Look, see." And that's why we know about her today. Sometimes you've heard the word tithe, give 10% of your income, whatever the way you want to figure that. How about this? Give everything. That's pretty amazing. You got to wonder about it. The temple is a corrupt place. Jesus continually was criticizing of how they take advantage of people and they steal from the poor and the widows. And, she puts everything in. It's like, somebody sends their rent to Joel Osteen. He doesn't need your money. But he didn't criticize the people that were making a show or commend them, or he didn't criticize her or really commend her. He just wanted the disciples to see. And she turned out to be the major donor of the day. It's this upside-down kingdom that Jesus talks about. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. The rich shall be servants of all. This, we look at things and see how they are, and Jesus kind of comes in with his view and just turns everything completely around. We're still dealing with that as people, trying to adapt the culture to what Jesus seems to be talking about. When he leaves the temple, his public ministry is over. In 4 days, Jesus will be dead. So this is kind of an important time. She gave her ultimate offering, and he would give his ultimate offering. She gave it to a corrupt system, and he died for a corrupt world. She withheld nothing from God. Look, he said. And in that phrase that I find always irritating when somebody says it, now that's what I'm talking about. She never knew these words that commended her or condemned her or whatever. She didn't ever hear anything. She just went on her way. She never knew her story would be told and retold for generations. A few seconds of her life were immortalized. Like the few seconds that it took Billy Cannon to run that punt back 89 yards and LSU beat Ole Miss in 59 or whatever it was. And then Billy Cannon's rest of his life is gravy because he scored that touchdown. Just a few seconds make a difference. No one knew her name or what happened to her. But I see her now and then, kind of out of the corner of your eye. People that you kind of unconsciously pass. Sometimes she's a he. Sometimes she's a child. Sometimes she's an old friend that you just met. Somebody that's in the background. A memory of someone you knew. Someone who inspired you or taught you or reminded you to clean up your act. Just kind of out of sight and then something happens to your memory, and oh, you say to yourself. The whole idea of talking about money in the church is to remind people that stewardship is kind of about self-denial. It's just like not having everything for you. It's giving a representative part of you away without strings attached. Anybody buy lottery tickets? And people who don't even buy tickets dream of winning the lottery. Trip, house, car, big garage, car, boat, small island in the South Pacific. Just simple things. What if you thought about winning the lottery in terms of how you would give all that money away? Wouldn't it be great when you see those pathetic animals on TV about how they're abused and it's only $18 a month and you could just give enough money so those commercials would never happen again? Or you see hunger and you see people on the street and you could just give that money away and fix a lot of people's lives. A few $1 billion would fix our world having clean water for everyone. A few $1 billion would ensure that a couple of billion people would have more to eat. But, you know, I've never thought about winning the lottery that way. I was just thinking about, you know, how I'm going to spend it on myself and my family. Well, maybe the church would get something. We're just kind of bent to be selfish. And one of the objects of stewardship is to remind us that we need a little self-denial in our lives. There was a disciple leader named Herb Miller who said the primary aim of stewardship is not to finance the church's annual operating budget, but to change lives. You know, we hope the budget gets financed, but that's really not what it's about. It's about life. It's about how our giving gives us a chance to change from being self-focused to being generous, from being fearful that we're not going to have enough to trusting that we will have enough, from being bound to convention to being free to do what we want. I have a cousin. We grew up together in Missouri. He's a little younger than me. And when he was a young adult, he went to Alaska to live, and he has lived there since. One of his hobbies is hunting moose. That's how he puts some food on the table in his family. A number of years ago, he was out with a party doing this moose hunt, and he got separated from the rest of them. And I don't know if this was even before cell phones, but cell phone not going to work in the Alaskan wilderness. It was, I don't know what kind of year it was, what part of the year it was, but it was cold. And he had no provisions. He had nothing like he was going to spend overnight because he was going to be in the hunting group with whatever they had to stay in. And he knew that, you know, at some point there wasn't any need to keep walking or doubling back, whatever, because he was lost, and he needed to figure out a way to spend the night. And there were things out in the darkness that would be interested in hunting him. So what he needed was a fire. For protection, for warmth. Things were a little damp, and he gathered wood and tried to find whatever else is available in Alaska to try to get that fire started. And he prepared the material to do a fire, and he realized he only had just a few matches. So it's going to have to be right. He needs something to get it started. The stuff's a little damp. So what have I got on him? He's got a wallet. And I guess part of this hunting was you carried cash with you to pay for some of the things. So he had a lot of cash. He began to burn the money to try to get this fire started. Of course, started with the small bills. And then the bigger bills. And then all of it. But he got the fire started. And he survived that night. And the next day, he got back with his hunting buddies. Our money is worthless unless we do something with it. You know, he could have been found dead with a wallet full of cash. And what use was that money to him then? Our money has value when it's being used. And think about, okay, we go shopping and we try to make good choices for what we have and not waste money. But is it even more important to use our money to change our lives for the better? Isn't that more important than saving 10 cents on an item? That we decide how I'm going to use what I have to make myself a better person, a better Christian, a better child of God. And that is stewardship.